A very good evening and a warm welcome to this week's second edition of Prime Time News with me, Salima Shimwe-Feleni. We begin our lead story in neighboring South Africa, where a further 22 people have died during unrest raging in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng provinces, a provincial official said on Tuesday, taking the national death toll from days of violence to 32. We would like to warn our viewers that the following video is not for sensitive viewers as it contains graphic visuals.
The toll in KwaZulu-Natal province now stands at 26, Premier Sihle Zikalala told a news conference on Tuesday, a day after officials confirmed 6 deaths in Gauteng province. These were people killed during stampedes as protesters ran riot, he said, without specifying which parts of the province. President Cyril Ramaphosa on Monday deployed troops to help police halt the violence and looting sparked by the jailing of ex-President Jacob Zuma. Southeastern KwaZulu-Natal, Zuma's home region, is the epicenter of the unrest. Protests erupted last week shortly after Zuma started serving a 15-month term for snubbing a probe into corruption that stained his 9 years in power. The violence has so far been confined to the two most populous provinces of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, which houses the economic hub of Johannesburg.
And back at home, the Erongo Regional Health Directorate is exploring the possibility of increasing the region's health facility capacity in order to cope with the increasing number of COVID-19 cases.
In an interview with the media over the weekend, Chief Medical Officer Leonard Kabongo said the Swakopmund State Hospital is trying to change the flow of patients within the hospital. He said they are thinking of perhaps moving around some departments within the hospital by de-escalating the curve at the primary healthcare level and creating more space in the state hospital for more COVID-19 patients. One of the wards the hospital is looking at turning into a COVID-19 ward would be the pediatric ward, which could be moved to either one of the clinics in Tamariskia or Modesa. The hospital currently has 60 beds in the COVID-19 ward, which is often full to capacity. Erongo Governor Neville Andre Itope noted that Erongo, through a task force, is assessing the region's need in terms of how much oxygen and hospital beds are needed and how much should be acquired, as well as financial implications involved. He added that the region also needs to look at long-term plans to acquire oxygen, which is setting up its own oxygen plant to avoid importing from other towns.
The Director of Health for the Khomas region, Thomas Ukola, on Monday said some 150,000 doses of Sinopharm vaccine are expected to arrive in Namibia by the end of this week.
Director of Health for the Khomas region, Thomas Ukola, who was speaking at a media conference held to update the public on the COVID-19 response measures the country has put in place, said the vaccines were procured by the government for its vaccination campaign. At the same event, Khomas Governor Laura McLeod Kachirwa announced that so far, 687 people in the region have lost their lives due to COVID-19 and 39,015 cases have been confirmed in the region. Of this, 14,416 cases are active. In addition, 49,999 people in Khomas have received both their first and second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine by Monday. She said the region is facing challenges like excessive oxygen demand in health facilities, non-adherence of individuals to COVID-19 prevention protocols, non-adherence to protocols by businesses, overwhelmed testing sites, overstretched human resources for health, which also increased the shortage of healthcare workers, increasing demand for admission both in private and public health facilities, as well as serious demand for space in the state mortuary for more space to store bodies. She added that the regional leadership will continue to identify sites for vaccination in Windhoek. The Namibian Police Force Khomas Regional Commander Ismail Basson, who spoke at the same occasion, said the police arrested 235 people for not being indoors during curfew on Friday and Saturday, while 15 people were arrested for illegally selling alcohol.
A community-based care facility set up at the Tamariskia Community Hall at Swakopmund will soon be open to community members in need of COVID-19 medical support while waiting for hospital availability.
Enabled by the region's Risk Management Committee through community donations, the facility is a transition center for COVID-19 patients who are unable to cope at home and may need more medical supervision from health officials. In an interview with the media over the weekend, Swakopmund Regional Councillor and Chairperson of the Irongo Management Committee, Siska Howard Smith, said the facility aims to relieve the pressure from both private and public health care systems, with patients currently filling up all the available hospital beds to capacity. The 15-bed facility has oxygen concentrators of 5 and 10 liters, which will assist patients while at the facility. However, by the time a patient will require more than that, they will then be transitioned to the hospital. Howard Smith emphasized that they want to create a safe space for patients who are unable to cope at home, as well as those who are over the worst in the hospital and may still need some support. The 24-hour facility will not be administering drugs and will be working closely with a doctor or patient's personal doctor, who will be the ones to make such decisions when need be. The councillor also called on all retired medical personnel to come and assist by volunteering at the facility. The facility will commence operations as soon as assessment and approval are done by the Ministry of Health and Social Services.
Stand by for your top roundup. And in business and economics news, business owners at Corrigas say they want to close up shop as their businesses are generating minimal to no income due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic.
In a recent interview with Nampa, local convenience shop owner Harry Namasep said depending solely on his businesses for an income is not enough. He said, "I am not making any income at all compared to before the outbreak of the pandemic. I think I will be closing my shop soon and will wait for a time when everything normalizes. Even if I stock up my shop with goods, I get fewer customers as retail prices have also gone up. This means I now have to dig deeper into my pockets to purchase stock for the shop with only a few customers." Sylvia Tanises, who sells fruit and vegetables at the local street market, said it is of no use to do business given the number of people who have lost their jobs due to the pandemic. "I have little hope that the economy will recover soon. Most people in our town have lost their jobs and we are not making any income as usual. I have come to a point where I want to pack up my stuff by the time I have sold at least 3 packets of fruit or vegetables, which is an income of about $40 million daily," she said. Meanwhile, President Hage Geingob has appointed a business rescue task force effective from 1st July 2021 to review business and insolvency legislation, laws, regulations and policies, and to make recommendations for amendments to these laws and regulations to rescue businesses in financial distress. The need for such a task force has been recognized with urgency following the outbreak of COVID-19.
German car maker Volkswagen is due to present a new group strategy on Tuesday amid expectations that its new auto concept will sharpen the company's focus on the key issues of digitalization and services.
Europe's largest automotive group has already planned investments with double-digit billion figures to expand its range of electric and hybrid models, as well as developing its own battery cell production. The industry is also increasingly focusing on software to network vehicles and the development of new mobility-related services. The overall orientation aimed at shaping Germany's largest corporation until 2023 is the brainchild of Group Chief Executive Herbert Diess. His contract, ending in early 2023, was recently replaced with a new one set to run until October 2025. It is already known that VW wants to invest lots of additional money in a new development center at its headquarters. Around 800 million euros could be budgeted for the so-called Campus Zentkamp in the city of Wolfsburg, a letter to the workforce said.
It's time for the Business and Economics Roundup. That's all the top news we had for you this evening. Kindly stand by for tonight's sports update with Shalva Wells.
Thank you, Salima. In our sports installment tonight, we kick off with COSAFA news. Brave Warriors striker Elmo Kambindu scored his third goal in 3 matches following Namibia's 1-1 draw with Malawi today at the Wolfson Stadium in Port Elizabeth during the ongoing COSAFA Cup tournament.
The match, monitored online, was played in rainy and windy conditions. It saw both teams produce a lackluster performance in the first half, characterized by poor passes and wrong decision-making. Both teams created decent chances in the first half, with Namibia's player of the tournament so far, Kambindu, twice shooting over the bar after having breached Malawi's static defense. The two teams went into half-time tied 0-0, but the Brave Warriors struck 7 minutes into the second half through the informed Kambindu. The lanky Namibian striker received an inch-perfect pass from captain Willie Stefanus, which he chested before turning his defender and slotting into the bottom lower corner of William Thole in goal for Malawi. Namibia then took their foot off the pedal as they looked to frustrate their opponents through processional football, but conceded in the 74th minute through substitute Mishan Morne. The stocky winger lashed onto a loose ball in the 18-yard box and struck a thunderous shot into the far post of the Namibian goal, leaving goalkeeper Lloyd Kathapoa stranded. Malawi then pushed for a winner as they looked to boost their chances of qualifying for the knockout stages, but ran out of time as the match ended 1-0. Namibia now has 7 points ahead of Senegal with 6 points, while Mozambique has 4 points in third place. Malawi and Zimbabwe both have 2 points on 4th and 5th respectively, and are now out of the running for the semi-final berth. Namibia must avoid a defeat to Mozambique on Wednesday for them to qualify for the semi-finals.
The Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Services and the Namibia Sports Commission will spend almost 400,000 Namibian dollars on officials accompanying Team Namibia to the Olympics, despite athletes still being owed money.
The 2020 Tokyo Summer Olympic Games will start on 25 July and end on 8 August. Team Namibia is expected to start departing for Tokyo from 18 July. The Ministry and the Namibia Sports Commission are still to honor their reward policy for athletes who won silverware for the country at different international competitions since 2019. These include the African Games, the World Athletics Championships as well as the World Para-Athletics Championships. 5 athletes and coaches who won silverware in 2019 will be jetting off to the Games while still being owed part of the 910,000 Namibian dollars. The Namibian National Olympic Committee last week announced a team of 11 athletes and 7 coaches, 2 mechanics, 2 doctors, as well as 5 officials who represent Namibia in Japan. Amongst the officials is the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service Executive Director Audrey Mathe, as well as Namibia Sport Commission Vice Chairperson Auna Similo. The 2 officials traveling to the Olympics will cost 6,600 per person per night, or 118,800 Namibian dollars per person for 18 nights at the Imperial Tokyo Hotel, which is the hotel that will be used by dignitaries and secretary generals during the Games. The Ministry and Sports Commission would have to pay for return flight tickets and pay their subsistence and travel allowance for 20 days from 18 July if the officials leave on the first trip with the athletes. With government currently cutting down on expenditure across the board due to limited resources, NAMPA reached out to the ministry to find out what role the ED and NSC vice chairperson will play at the Games when Simata Matali, the second secretary at the Embassy of Namibia in Tokyo, has been acting as the government attaché. Sports Minister Agnes Chongarero told this agency recently she would not be traveling to Japan in efforts to cut costs. We currently don't have money, therefore I directed the ED to go on my behalf, as his S&T as well as other benefits are much cheaper, she said. When this agency asked the ministry why they are not cancelling the government officials' trips to Japan and to instead use some of the money to reward athletes like Vera Lusa, Alex Miller, Elalia Johannes, and Junius Jonas, who all won medals in 2019, Shikesho said the ministry is still waiting for funds from the Ministry of Finance.
Your sports roundup is next. That's all the news we had for you this evening. We thank you for tuning in. Give us a thumbs up and share. If you are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Also click on the notifications bell to stay posted on the latest happenings locally and globally. Catch us tomorrow for your dose of primetime news. From myself and the entire production crew, it's good night.